Chapter 3 The Passages. The next morning, Pine Meadow felt heavier, like the sky was waiting for something to happen. Clouds pressed low over Market Square, and the air smelled faintly metallic. Hazel Brooke stood near the cafe door, coat buttoned, bag slung across her shoulder. Inside the bag, Ada's map, the brass key, her notebook, and a quiet determination she hadn't slept off. Maya met her outside. "If we're about to get arrested for curiosity, I'm at least bringing pastries," she said, balancing a tray of croissants. "Perfect cover," Hazel replied. "People trust anyone who feeds them." Across the square, Miss Darrow stood beside the county inspector, clipboard in hand. He was tall, sharp-featured, and calm, the kind of man who made paperwork sound like justice. His name tag read Leduc. "You're the one who found the map?" he said when Hazel approached. "Not found, followed," Hazel corrected. Leduc nodded once. "We'll open the drainage seam, document the interior, and seal the area. If this is what you think it is, the press will be the least of our problems." Maya handed him a croissant. "Then you'll need this." Tom Riley, the town mechanic, helped remove the old storm grate beside the library. Cool, damp air rose from below. Hazel climbed down first, flashlight beams slicing through the dim. The tunnel was narrow, its bricks sweating from decades of condensation. The others followed carefully, Leduc with his camera, Tom with his toolbox, Miss Darrow waiting above to control the crowd. The welded wall waded 10 meters in, its surface pitted and dark. Someone, Ada perhaps, had scratched faint letters near the bottom. LT9/85. "Leonard Turner," Hazel said. "He worked public works." Leduc crouched. "He welded this shut. That's an old bead, industrial seal. We'll need to weaken the line." He chalked 3 small X's across the seam and handed Hazel a pair of gloves. "Hold the light steady." She did. Metal sang faintly under each tap. The sound was small but traveled far, echoing back in a slow heartbeat. When the final bead cracked, a thin sigh of air escaped. Old, chemical, unpleasant. "Smells like paint thinner," Hazel said. Leduc put on a respirator. "Solvents, probably from the factory by the river. We stop if it gets worse." He wedged a crowbar and leaned his weight. The door shifted. Rust flaked like dust. With a dull groan, the seam parted just enough for Hazel's flashlight to catch the inside of a room. Wooden pallets, blue barrels stacked in neat rows. On one wall, a whiteboard ghosted with half-erased words. Hold, transfer, report. Leduc's breath fogged the lens of his mask. Hazardous waste storage. They hid it instead of disposing it. Hazel snapped photos, the barrels, the faded hazard signs, the wall markings. In the corner, the floor dipped into a shallow pit, a sump. A narrow chalk arrow pointed to a drain that disappeared deeper under the town. Leduc touched his radio. "This is Site 1, confirm visual. We'll need containment and hazmat crew. Secure perimeters above." Miss Darrow's voice crackled back. "Understood. Witnesses are already pretending not to stare." When Hazel climbed back into daylight, Market Square was no longer pretending. People gathered behind makeshift tape. The mayor had arrived, flanked by 2 council members who looked allergic to bad publicity. "What exactly is happening under my square?" the mayor demanded. Leduc climbed out behind Hazel. "An unlawful hazardous storage area, sealed in 1985. "By whom?" "Records will show that," Leduc said evenly. "For now, stay behind the tape." Miss Darrow joined Hazel near the cafe. Ada warned the council that year. They called her dramatic. "Maybe now she'll be called right," Hazel said. Maya emerged from behind her pastry table, handing Hazel a cup of coffee. "You did it," she said. "We're not done," Hazel replied. Ada said the truth was under our feet. Now it's under theirs, too. An hour later, Leonard Turner arrived. The retired foreman walked stiffly but with purpose. He stopped near the open drain, looked down, and removed his cap. "I welded that," he said quietly. "You remember why?" Leduc asked. "They told me it was temporary," Turner replied. "Said the waste would be moved once the county approved a site. I asked when that would be. They said soon. I welded anyway." The mayor shifted uneasily. "Leonard, those were different times." "They were the same times," Turner interrupted. "We just pretended differently." Hazel watched him, recognizing the mix of regret and relief in his voice. "Thank you for saying it out loud," she said softly. He nodded once. "It's about time." Leduc set up a portable recorder. "Miss Brooke, for the record, can you describe your involvement?" Hazel adjusted her stance. "Ada Merriweather left me a note and a key. Her message led me here. She documented this decades ago, but no one listened." Leduc stopped the recording and said, "People are listening now." Hazel wasn't sure they were. Not yet. But it felt like a start. Miss Darrow approached with folded documents. "Ada's last catalog entry," she said, handing them to Leduc. "Inventory of the barrels, quantities, dates, labels. You'll find it matches what's below." He glanced through the pages, eyebrows tightening. "She was meticulous. This helps a lot." Hazel smiled faintly. She always was. By afternoon, hazmat crews arrived, dressed in white suits that looked too clean for Pine Meadow. They took air samples, measured residue, and cataloged each barrel. The square hummed with low voices, the sound of news forming itself. The mayor gave a statement. "We're cooperating fully," reporters scribbled. Miss Darrow rolled her eyes so subtly only Hazel noticed. Maya set a tray of muffins on the counter for the workers. "If I don't feed them, they'll starve before they finish their ethics forms," she whispered. Hazel laughed softly. Ada would approve. One reporter approached her. "Miss Brooke, do you have a comment? You seem to have played a major role." Hazel shook her head. "The story isn't mine. It's Ada's. But you found it. I just followed directions." When the last barrel was lifted from the tunnel, the inspector placed a sign beside the grate. "Site under investigation. Entry restricted." The words looked temporary, but the truth beneath them wasn't. Leonard Turner approached Hazel again, eyes damp but steady. "I'll be giving a full statement," he said. "It's time someone else welded the door shut." Hazel nodded. "This time, we leave it open." He smiled faintly and walked toward the county truck, the years seeming to settle lighter on his shoulders. That evening, the cafe was quieter than usual. Hazel and Maya cleaned up in near silence until Maya finally asked, "How do you feel?" "Like I borrowed Ada's courage and used it all in one day," Hazel said. "She'd say that's exactly what it's for." Hazel sat at a corner table, spreading her notes and photographs across the wood. The cassette player sat beside her, the same one they'd used the night before. "One more listen?" she asked. Maya nodded, just to hear her voice. Hazel pressed play. Ada's calm tone filled the small space. "If I misjudged, you will know roughly when your tea goes cold. If I am right, you will find this with the minutes they called misfiled. The names are in the order of silence." There was the faint rustle of paper, then Ada again, quieter. "If Pine Meadow wants to forget, remind it that the river remembers." The tape clicked off. Hazel sat still for a moment, then whispered, "We reminded it." Before leaving, she wrote one last note in her journal. July 12th, the weld opened. Ada was right. The tunnels held truth, not ghosts. She underlined the last sentence twice. Outside, the rain started again. Gentle, ordinary, cleansing. Pine Meadow exhaled. The library lights glowed faintly across the street, and Hazel felt, for the first time, that the town's silence had changed shape. Tomorrow there would be reports and statements, but tonight, the truth was enough. Hazel locked the cafe, slipped the cassette back into her bag, and whispered into the drizzle, "Thank you, Ada." The town, listening for once, didn't argue.